Good morning. Welcome to the new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So, you guys, it's going to rain this afternoon. So it's the perfect time right now.
It's perfect because your car's probably dirty from all the rain that we have had.
Mine's filthy.
Yeah.
See, look at that truck over there.
Oh
it is a
my
messy.
gosh, Rick.
Don't shout me
Jeez.
out like that. So you guys, anyway, come in today to the car wash, and maybe we could do two.
Sure.
Okay, so the first two people that come in and say they saw this at the car wash, or Rick Dancer, or you mentioned Renee because she's prettier, anything like that, you'll get a free car wash.
Yeah.
The first two people that come through. So we'll do that. We got a great topic today.
Yes.
We're going to hit some City of Eugene topics today, and it's about short-term rentals. And we got some folks here who are people who do Airbnb and that sort of thing. The Eugene City Council is looking at some regulations. And some people think they're overstepping their bounds on their regulations, which are some of these folks here. So we're going to go talk to them about this. So again, it's at the car wash, Coburg Road Car Wash, right across from Verizon.
It's always a good day for a car wash.
So
come
in.
see us.
Yeah, get in early because it is going to rain later today.
It is. Come now.
All right. We'll
Thanks,
see you.
Rick.
You're welcome, Renee. All right. So I got a carload of people. So here we go. All righty. Well, hello, everybody.
Hey, hello.
Look at this. Oh, my. Yeah. Okay, so introduce yourselves. Pretty first.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
And you are?
I'm sorry, I thought you meant me for pretty first.
No, well, obviously
Yeah,
you're
I'm Bruce.
That's Bruce, Hannah, and...
Good morning, I'm Tim.
And I'm Paul.
Okay, and so you guys are all Airbnbers.
STR hosts in
STR
Eugene.
hosts.
Short-term rental host.
Okay, so short-term rental hosts, and there's some new regulations the council's talking about that you guys are pretty concerned about.
Yes.
So talk to us about that. Who wants to start?
Well, they're making a case for some pretty draconian regulations that do not fit the reality in Eugene. And there needs to be some research done. We need to look at comparable cities and steps they've taken so we don't reinvent wheels and we get something that works for Eugene.
So what are you seeing, Hannah?
I'm seeing a couple of really loud neighbors who are upset about so-called party houses here in Eugene, and the reality is that Airbnb hosts vet our guests so we know who's coming in, and there's a really great checks and balance system that's happening, and we're not a corporation. We don't work for Airbnb. We're just local residents here who found a little niche to make some extra money and to make Eugene awesome. Because
And if anybody's done Airbnb, you know that if there's a bad guest, they get called out, and so you don't have to rent to them.
that's right.
Correct. It's a nice two-way street on the platform that can work for both renters and hosts. So organically it can kind of grow or work together where you have good hosts matching up with good travelers. And also in Eugene too, it's not necessarily a lot of out-of-towners that are using the service as well. It's a lot of local people that need this service in town for transition housing, for work.
And what I think a lot of people don't think is, you said, this is for some people making extra income. We have a home at the beach and we rent it out to pay for the taxes and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But there's also a lot of people, this is their livelihood. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is how they make a living.
Yeah.
That's me. Our primary income really is from Airbnb. We have a beautiful cottage that people come and stay in, sometimes for a night, sometimes for a week. They come in to see their kids and their family. They come in to meet friends that they haven't seen since college days or, years and years. That happens all the time. We have people traveling through the conduit. A lot of our customers that come stay with us turn out to be our friends, and we get together with them again. We'll go to dinner with them. We stay in contact. Airbnb is really popular, way more so than like hotels, because people want to have the experience of living with people. They want to meet people and know about the community they're staying in. It's kind of an organic, better way to travel. I remember when we were young, we used to go, my dad took us to Europe and we stayed in the hostels and we stayed in little, people's houses. Before there was Airbnb, we would stay in people's houses that had turned into bed and breakfasts. And part of the experience and the charm and the appeal was to get to know the people and have dinner with them and talk about their community and their life and stuff. So Airbnb is perfect for that.
Does it make you guys nervous because you've got people who may not really know what you do, all of a sudden coming in and creating these regulations that they're They need to do more research to find out what the heck they're talking about.
There was a city report which did not really relate to the realities on the ground in Eugene.
Give me some idea what that
They were comparing us to New York City. They were comparing us to tourist sites on the coast, which are not, they profile the demographics of New York, of Eugene. What we're doing is we're offering people a more affordable way to stay in Eugene. They can't afford the prices of hotels and motels. And we talk to people when they come through my house, 150 of them over the past 3 years, and many of them tell us they would have gone right past Eugene and headed to Portland rather than staying overnight. We're bringing tourists to Eugene.
And
go ahead.
And with the report that the city put out that we're working off of, we wanted to assess that we talked about last month with the council that we still don't have really the information of how much of this is currently even going on in Eugene. We can see some estimates if we kind of scan on Airbnb, but there's currently no registration or license program in the city that we would like to see that we can work with the city together to have an idea of how much is going on in the city, because there's no license program currently in order at all.
So you guys aren't against regulations and licensing. I mean, you're supportive of that.
Well, it kind of
most
depends
definitely.
on what they want to regulate,
Right,
what they want
but-
to license, and what they want to charge, and what they want to control. Because I don't have a whole lot of confidence that the things they want to control, they have any business controlling.
So
It
what?
ought to
Give
be
me an example.
appropriate.
Give me an example.
Some of the things that they had put forward, and I think they've backed off of somewhat, is that they wanted to limit the number of days you could actually have someone stay in your place. So it could only be 30 days of the year. And in our case, we have a detached, completely separate cottage that's out in back of our house, but that would have applied to us. We have people there every night, 365 days a year. So our full, a huge chunk of our income really comes from that.
Why? And I guess I don't know how else to say this, but how I would say it is, why is that any of their business?
Well, they don't regulate other businesses in town this way. Like if you're a hairdresser or a stylist, or if you do.
What about hotel? Is there a regulation on how long you can stay in a hotel?
No, they don't regulate other businesses. I think the fear started, Rick, when they read some articles from some cities where it was purported or made it appear as though some large corporations were buying up real estate and then directly renting it to people just to make money off of it. But they didn't live in that town, and they weren't actively taking part in that business. They were just kind of gobbling up real estate, which was then less available for other people that wanted to live in the town. Whereas that's not the case here, or in most places with Airbnb at all.
Go ahead. You're just bitching to talk.
No. Some cities have banned out-of-state and out-of-area owners. You have to be local. You have to be contactable. They're putting in regulations when you register that there have to be 24/7 availability of someone to deal with problems, and that there are fines when not dealt with. And after 2 or 3 strikes, you're out. And Airbnb would be willing to remove you from the platform. So there are regulatory things in place.
So they're already. I know because we rented a house through a company, and there was stringent regulations already that kept.
Really
I mean, I think people sometimes have this idea that because you have a second home or you have an Airbnb like this, that you're all of a sudden part of corporate America. You're some wealthy person, and when it's a lot of these are family homes. They're places you bought with the purpose of you're using that money to help pay your bills, and that's really no one's business, in my estimation.
Rick, my parents passed away, and we got a small inheritance, about $55,000. And we spent 11 months of 8, 10, 12 hour per day, 7 days a week, remodeling and fixing up this old structure we had behind us into this beautiful cottage that's now it's one of the top 3 Airbnb rentals in Eugene. But it was we don't have a retirement plan. We don't have any benefits for as we get older. This is our only retirement plan. Right now it's our primary source of income, and we sank a year of our lives of sweat equity, and we sank all of our inheritance into this thing. This is not owned by somebody else. This is our life.
And on top of that, my in-laws here in Eugene, they have a similar story to Bruce, where they spent a lot of money remodeling one portion of kind of a triplex, and that's now listed on Airbnb, but it does subsidize the 2 other units there that are lower income affordable housing, that they haven't raised the rent on those existing tenants that they took on when they bought the property. So the Airbnb has allowed them with the remodel to keep 2 tenants there that are paying under market rent. Because if that wasn't there, then those renters would, not be able to rent at those prices.
Okay, let's go through the car wash. I got another question for you. How many Airbnbs are there, do we know of, in Eugene, Springfield, or in Eugene? This is strictly Eugene, right?
Strictly Eugene, with that the council that this is in the topic of discussion, and so there's.
But Springfield should be careful because it's probably going to come to a city near you. I mean, if it's happening in Eugene, I would guess that it's all of a sudden going to probably happen in Springfield.
One of the complications here that can be seen is that what is seen on Airbnb and HomeAway are listings of advertisements that are there. That doesn't necessarily mean that the houses are even being actively rented, because Airbnb can show you hundreds of homes, but when you really take time and go through the advertisements, you can see that people actively really aren't renting them, or they rented it once 4 years ago.
Or they rent it when they go on vacation.
So when you first glance, there's like 1,000 Airbnbs in Eugene, but that is not the case. When you get down to it, there's more like maybe 300 active short-term rentals. Yeah. So that's the kind of misinformation that's being reported right now from our people who are really scared and fearful that short-term rentals are going to take over neighborhoods and houses are going to be turned into hotels.
And speaking of the neighborhoods, we're all part of the city, the community, and the neighborhoods, and we're just as interested in livability and upkeeping and maintenance just as everyone else, because we're working together here in these neighborhoods to upkeep these properties, because there are homes, there are places that we own, and we're just as interested as anyone else to have good relationships with the neighbors, good relationships with all of the community.
Because is that sometimes what you see happen is this big paintbrush paints everything, here's what it is, and that's what draws the attention and the media, and you guys aren't getting a whole lot of coverage from on your side of this issue, because it's so much easier and more popular to look at big bad property owners or something like that, rather than to go, what's the reality check? And that's another concern you have.
Rick, I'm sure that everybody involved at the city level is well intended. I think there's a lot of misinformation or wrong information. There's missing information and a missing perspective for the opinions that they've formed. But as someone who's spent our lives, you've known me for 30 some years, I think, probably, and my wife and I have been youth pastors and pastors in this city for all of our lives, and we've invested in this community. We've laid down our lives at great personal financial sacrifice, because when you're pastoring, you don't really bring in the bucks, and it's really hard to feel like finally that we've gotten to this place where we have a steady income off of our Airbnb property and have some hope that we actually will be able to keep
right.
our house as we retire and stuff.
Well, and it would be,
and they would maybe take that away on a whim of, this is bad somewhere.
Because it's easy for misinformation to be transferred into facts, because it ties in with what your belief is. When it's like, really, you guys, this is your lives, this is your businesses, and your neighbors and people who live here too. Yeah. So it's not like you're trying to take advantage of it. You're not against regulation. You're just against over-regulation and overreach, and that's what you're afraid. And so right now, there's a 3-month period where they're doing research and stuff. How can people out there in the public help you?
They need to call city councilors and tell them how they feel about this issue. If you are a short-term rental host, you need to join our group. We are organizing an association right now, and we meet every 2 weeks on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. We would love to have you join our group, and we'll put contact information in the comments below this video.
And so you guys, they're going to go back in and on the comment section, they'll put in how to get to the group, how to get in touch with them, so you can contact them and find out more information. So what else are we not getting to that we need to get to in the next couple minutes here?
I think one of the things that the city council was concerned about, and that people were complaining about, is this idea that there's party houses. And I'm sure that there might be occasionally something like that happens, but it's not It's not unlike how there's been party houses down on campus for decades, and that sometimes the police have to get called. And those ordinances are broken in either case, and they need to be enforced in either case. We don't need new ordinances to control something that is out of everybody's control because somebody's just disregarding any of the rules. So we still have to enforce those.
But there are current ordinances in place that we have with the city regarding parking, noise, traffic, garbage
Right.
that we can be used and looked at in regards to any possible issues that could be out there.
Right.
And as a homeowner, you're gonna if you find out renters are doing that, and you obviously live here, you are gonna take care of it because it's your property.
Yeah, well, we've had 1,000 people stay in our cottage in the last 3 years. 1,000 guests. So I don't know how many people it is. Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 4. But of all that time, my neighbors complained that one of my guests parked in front of their house instead of in the place we have designated for them to park in front of our house 2 times. Yep. And we've just taken care of it right away, had them come move their car and stuff. I've never had a neighbor complain about any of my guests. My guests are fantastic people, and we just, without exception almost, they've been fantastic people. I did have one neighbor complain on the other side that he's a little upset that now that I have a service come and make sure my yard looks great, because everything has to look great, that he feels like he has to mow his lawn more.
Damn you setting a new standard. Okay, so you guys, that's the issue. Short-term rentals in Eugene. City Council's looking at some regulation. The property owners are not against regulation, but they're concerned that there could be some overreach here because some people are overreacting to some of that information and reading information that's happening in places like Cannon Beach and New York City and places like that, and Eugene is not the same market or DMI. So that's what people are concerned about. So if you are an Airbnb owner or property owner, if you're a short-term rental person, if you're looking at doing this in the future, like when there's this certain Olympic track and field event coming here, this would be something that would concern you. Here's a group of people would like you to join forces with them, because as we know, you have to be loud, you have to be factual, and you have to be on it to make sure that you can protect and get the city council to hear what you're saying here in Eugene. We know that, right? Right. So thank you guys for doing this. Yeah, I saw them on Facebook and I thought, that's a hell of a story. Yeah. So we want to thank the car wash, Jim and Renee and all the guys that work here. Yeah. For sponsoring the show at the car wash. We couldn't get this kind of information out without them, and obviously other media hasn't chosen to cover it yet. So hopefully you guys will get on your bandwagon, not you, but the media. Go do your job and talk to the other side of the story. That would be very helpful. I know, I used to be you. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about this afternoon at 12:30, we're going to have a hell of a story for you. The buck stops here, and it really does. I found a gentleman who is a mental health counselor, drug and alcohol counselor, who was homeless for 5 years, and he says we need to stop enabling the situation in Eugene. So that's going to stir some noise, and that's what we do on Get Real with Rick Dancer. So I will see you at 12:30 to challenge people in Eugene just one more time.
Thanks, Rick.
Hey, you guys, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Can we go through again? Let's go through
again.
No,
this time we have to sing at the car wash. You ready?
What are we singing?
All right. No, at the car wash. Remember? At the car wash. Looking at the car wash, boy. You guys are the first people I've ever got to do that. I did have some folks in here one time that they were beard people and they looked like ZZ Top.
Yeah.
So we put on da-dum, bump, 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 bump. And I said, and we were dancing and singing that thing. And and people came on, they thought I was with ZZ Top. And I lied at the beginning. I said, that I lied?
No, that you were with ZZ Top.
I would be with ZZ Top. All right, you guys, we'll see you later. Share this on your page so other people know, okay? All right, see ya.